Today, America stands as one of the most powerful nations on Earth. But have you ever stopped to wonder who truly discovered this vast continent? Was it Christopher Columbus, the name we all learn in school? Or did someone else arrive on these shores long before him? The real story is far older, more complex, and infinitely more fascinating than you might think. Let's uncover the truth together. Welcome to Geosaga, where every land tells a story. Let's explore the world's hidden past long before any European ship ever touched its shores. America was already a vibrant, populated land. For tens of thousands of years, it was home to millions of people. These were the ancestors of modern Native Americans. Their journey began during the last ice age, when they migrated from Asia across a land bridge that once connected present-day Russia and Alaska. This was the Bering Land Bridge. Over millennia, these pioneers spread out, populating North and South America from the frozen Arctic to the tip of Patagonia. They weren't just wandering nomads. They built incredible cities, like the magnificent Tenochtitlan of the Aztecs, or the cliff dwellings of the ancestral Pueblones. They were brilliant astronomers, skilled farmers, who domesticated crops like corn, potatoes, and tomatoes, foods that would later change the world. They developed rich, diverse cultures, languages, and spiritual traditions. So, when we talk about the discovery of America, we must remember it wasn't an empty, undiscovered wilderness. It was a thriving world, full of history and life. Now, let's fast forward to the year 1492. An Italian explorer named Christopher Columbus, sailing under the Spanish flag, set off on a daring voyage. With his 3 ships, the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria, his mission wasn't to find a new continent. His goal was to find a direct sea route to Asia, to the lucrative spice markets of the East Indies. He believed the world was smaller than it was, and that he could reach Asia by sailing west across the Atlantic. After more than 2 months at sea, a journey filled with uncertainty and near mutiny, his crew spotted land. On October 12, 1492, Columbus landed on an island in what we now call the Bahamas. He was convinced he had reached the outskirts of India. This fundamental misunderstanding is why he called the indigenous people he met Indians, a name that has stuck for centuries. Columbus made 4 voyages in total, exploring parts of the Caribbean and the coast of South and Central America, yet he died in 1506, still believing he had reached Asia. He had no idea he had stumbled upon a new world, a pair of continents entirely unknown to Europeans. Columbus's arrival, however accidental, was a pivotal moment in world history. It was the spark that ignited Europe's age of exploration. Following his reports, fleets from Spain and Portugal, and later England, France, and the Netherlands, began racing across the Atlantic. They were driven by a hunger for gold, glory, and the desire to spread their faith. This marked the first sustained contact between Europe and the Americas, and it changed everything. It opened the door for unprecedented trade, cultural exchange, and global expansion. But this new era of connection came at a terrible price. For the millions of Native Americans already living there, the arrival of Europeans was a catastrophe. The newcomers brought with them diseases like smallpox and measles, to which the indigenous populations had no immunity. These epidemics swept through communities, wiping out an estimated 90% of the population in some areas. This was followed by brutal wars, forced labor, and the colonization of their lands. The story of European contact is not just one of exploration, but also one of immense tragedy and suffering for the original inhabitants of the Americas. But here's a twist that many people don't know. Columbus wasn't even the first European to reach America. That honor belongs to the Vikings. Nearly 500 years before Columbus set sail, a Norse explorer named Leif Erikson, son of Eric the Red, landed on the shores of North America. Around the year 1000 AD, he sailed from Greenland and established a small settlement in a place he called Vinland because of the wild grapes he found there. Archaeological evidence discovered in Newfoundland, Canada, at a site called L'Anse aux Meadows, proves that Vikings did indeed live there, however briefly. They built houses, worked iron, and interacted with the local indigenous people. So why isn't Leif Erikson the one we celebrate for discovering America? While the Vikings were the first Europeans to arrive, their presence didn't last. Their settlement was abandoned after a few years, likely due to conflicts with the native inhabitants and the sheer difficulty of maintaining a colony so far from home. Most importantly, their journey was largely forgotten in Europe. It didn't trigger a wave of exploration or create a permanent link between the two worlds. Columbus's voyage, on the other hand, his discovery was the one that stuck, connecting the old world of Europe, Africa, and Asia with the new world of the Americas forever. This monumental connection set in motion what is now known as the Columbian Exchange. It was a massive, two-way transfer of plants, animals, technologies, cultures, and ideas between the Eastern and Western hemispheres. From the Americas, Europe received potatoes, corn, tomatoes, chocolate, and tobacco foods that revolutionized diets and agriculture worldwide. From Europe, the Americas received horses, cattle, pigs, and wheat. Horses, in particular, transformed the lives of many Native American tribes on the Great Plains. But this exchange also included the devastating transfer of diseases and the beginning of centuries of conquest and colonization that reshaped global power dynamics forever. So, when we ask who discovered America, the answer is not simple. The first people to discover and inhabit the Americas were the ancestors of Native Americans who arrived thousands of years ago. The first Europeans to land were the Vikings, led by Leif Erikson. But it was Christopher Columbus whose voyage in 1492 created the permanent, world-altering bridge between two long-separated halves of humanity. The story of the discovery of America isn't about one man finding an empty land. It's a complex epic about the meeting of two worlds, a story of connection, collision, and transformation. It reminds us that history is often written by the victors, and that the word discovery itself depends entirely on your perspective. Ultimately, understanding this history isn't just about finding new lands, it's about understanding ourselves, our shared past, and the complex journey of humanity itself. Thank you so much for watching, Ernie. If you found this journey into history as fascinating as I did, please hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next exploration into the past. See you next time.